Hey guys, Peter Steele here, back with another video, and today we're taking another look at the Dev Diaries. This one's a bit of a short one, but it has some interesting juicy bits, most notably combat changes and some changes to the White Russians in the upcoming Russian focus tree. So let's dive right in. So starting out, they are explaining to us how their changes to combat targeting and damage spreading works. It used to be that big, or well, it still is, that big divisions are more powerful than small ones because of how they can concentrate all of their damage onto one target, overpowering defense easily. Well, if you have two smaller divisions, the risk is that they would spread their damage out over other targets, effectively being weaker. Now, targeting is being changed so that divisions will select targets up to its own width. So a 40 width can fire on up to 220 widths, but doing so spreads the damage over them relative to their width. So effectively, they are just allowing divisions to spread out their damage over multiple targets instead of concentrating everything onto a single target. Yes, this effectively makes bigger divisions weaker, and I guess this is just going to promote the use of many more smaller divisions. Variety is the spice of life, so we'll see how this goes. It could end up going really well, or it could end up hurting my CPU quite a bit with all those tiny divisions running around. We'll have to see. And here we can see the big dog attacking two smaller dogs. Poor dogs. Another change is to how reserves will reinforce combat. In the olden days, by which I mean right now, reinforcements into combat works with picking a division from the list of reserves, and it goes down the list based on when the units joined combat. In future, they want to weigh the chance of a unit joining combat first based on their reinforced value. So that is going to make signal companies a lot more valuable, and all of the reinforcement tech as well. It's going to make micromanaging your defenses a lot less required if you're fighting some desperate battles. We'll have to see just how this plays out, but mostly this is going to make signal companies more impactful. It's a good way of making sure that your elite divisions are certain to reinforce combat to get you out of a last-ditch defense, for instance. And on to the meat and potatoes of this Dev Diary. Additions and reworks to the White Russian focus tree coming in no step back. Last time they did mention that the civil war as White Russia would be incredibly hard if you choose to go down that path of the focus tree. Really hard. Their plan was to go for realistically hard, while their testers came up with the more aptly named term of unwinnable. So they've made some changes to make it slightly less hard and introducing a few new elements to make the war a little more spicy, a little more interesting. Among other things, we will be able to recruit new units using command power rather than political power, and there's also been an increase in the amount of things you can get from countries supporting your cause. And best of all, more focuses. Don't we all love more focuses? Check that out. Oh yeah, I don't think I recognize these two. These are, I'm pretty sure, are new. The others, not so sure, but yeah, I'm definitely sure those two down here are new. And good thing a lot of you were worried about. Most of the focuses in this tree are short focuses. Short. I'm guessing 35 days, maybe even shorter, but a lot of concerns were regarding the focus duration. Everybody thought, oh no, it's so many 70-day focuses, we'll just spend the entire playthrough looking at the focus tree doing nothing. Don't worry, there's also going to be a couple of new ones that you can access before the war even starts, starting with covert operations, unlocking the decision to frame Communist Party members and military personnel. Essentially, what you're going to be doing is targeting Stalin's paranoia away from your faction and onto his own military and his own cabinet, weakening the Soviets, getting Stalin's paranoia down a little bit, and enabling you to continue your plans undetected. Then there's the South Manchuria Railway. I believe that was the railway in the hands of the Japanese in Manchuria at the time, and it will just give you more railways and supply hubs around the headquarters state when the Soviet Civil War starts. So your hub capital of your rebellion will have more supply there. I mean, with the upcoming changes to to supply. This is a no-brainer. This is one you definitely want. And what's very important about these two is these are only available before the Civil War starts. So if you are the one to start the Civil War, you are going to be in control of the timing, and you definitely want the benefits that these things bring. If you, however, are unlucky, or dare I say, incompetent, and Stalin starts the Civil War, you will not have access to these great boons, and you're in for a bad time, especially the supply situation. Far East Asia is unforgiving regarding supply, so you definitely want every edge you can get as the teeny tiny weak White Russians. And here, another interesting set of focuses. These are mutually exclusive, offer autonomy to former Soviet republics, or bring the breakaways back into the fold. This is your options for dealing with the other nations that pop up during the Civil War. They will offer a very valuable distraction, of course, but you, as the lawful heirs to the empire, will have to make a choice on how to deal with them. You could offer them autonomy, or you could simply see them as rightful Russian territory and bring them back into the fold, where you will first deal with the Soviets and then you crush the traitors. Yes, we will deal with the Ukrainian traitors, or my enemy's enemy is our friend. Options aplenty. We should see how this plays out. I'm not sure what the benefit is to letting them be independent, since if you get the war goals, they're still gonna be fighting the Soviets. There's still gonna be a distraction, and you can eat them afterwards. So unless you're playing for some RP values, I don't really see the benefit in not just gobbling them up afterwards. Unless there's some alliances there, or it gives both of you bonuses. We'll see. It's all still a work in progress. I like the white color that they've given to the White Russian faction. So this it looks like Ukraine here has broken off, Turkmenistan, many of the stans down here, and then the Caucasus nations. These will prove a valuable distraction for the Red Army, I think. I mean, it's a massive front line you've got going there in what is probably some of the worst territory to fight in regarding supply, so you're gonna need every little edge you can get. So I was a little bit early in my judgment there. Offer autonomy gives them the option of accepting puppeting. So it would turn them into puppets, and you can still integrate them later on. So that might actually be a good option, just so you could retain some of the troops they've made, make some buffer states out of them, etc. While the breakaways back to the fold just gives you retake war goals against them. The problem with the war goals might be that they pick up guarantees. So, okay, I can see the value in offer autonomy now. So it's not all black and white. All right, this makes sense. I like this. I like this a lot more than what I was thinking first. And like they said before, it was almost unwinnable before, but they've made a few changes to the Second Russian Civil War to make it slightly more winnable for the exiles. As you capture certain victory points, events will pop up in which the army of Joseph Stalin is apparently losing heart. Soldiers will desert. This will lead to the Soviet army losing a few divisions or some manpower. I'm not sure how it's going to work. And it will also allow divisions to pop up as event troops for the White Army, giving you a little bit of a boost each time you capture a certain region. Very helpful, very handy. You're going to lead a lot of troops considering the size of the Soviet army, not to mention the fact that you start with nothing. There were also some complaints that the fascist and monarchist paths were split up in a way that really did not make any sense. Now, when you look at this tree, down the middle are mostly war goals and the church candidate. This leads to the third row, where I believe it's the Primarch. No, it's not Primarch. What's it called again? I mean, the Orthodox version of a pope. What's it called again? Patriarch, that's it, where the Patriarch of Moscow ascends to the throne as some sort of divine god emperor, what have you. That path is available to both ideologies. Then there's the war goals under Westward Bound and Pacify the Rim. They are also available to both of these ideologies. Then there's also a couple of things that are more exclusive, like the Romanovs will have access to reforging the Triple Entente, trying to rebuild the alliance with the French and the British, leading down into your Slavic commitments or pan-Slavic nationalism. Historically, Russia always saw itself as the great protector of the Slavs, and the Russian Empire, in this case, will be able to pick up that mantle once again. While on the opposite side, where you go with the fascist route, you will have the option to expand more into the east, at least more so than the Empire, giving you a couple of extra war goals into Central Asia, or maybe even intervention into the Americas, because why not? Who wouldn't want to get back Alaska after they discovered there's some oil there? But more importantly, and very interestingly, the fascist Russians have access to the Berlin-Moscow axis, and that looks like a very spicy option if you want to play some alt history. And of course, there is also the matter of dealing with Japan, Japanese overtures or memories of 1905. For anyone wondering, 1905 is when the Russians got their cheeks clapped by Japan, and nobody was really expecting that. The fun fact about the focus down here, the Lonely Island, it's not just a pop cultural reference, it is also a focus that will change names depending on the situation. What do I mean by that? The one you're seeing now, called The Lonely Island, is when your Russia is independent, you didn't rely too much on the Japanese, and you ended the civil war victoriously without Japanese help. This gives you a war goal to take on Japan, to avenge 1905 and finally establish yourself as the true empire in East and West. If, however, your civil war either went poorly and you really needed Japanese help, or you relied too much on the Japanese, you will become a puppet if the civil war ends up going your way. And the Lonely Island will get a different name. I'm forgetting which it is exactly. It's in the dev diary, so you can read this if you want. And it will essentially give you a war goal against Japan still, but you will be fighting a liberation war. So you will be trying to break free from your overlord. And I think that's a very nice touch that they took that into consideration. Overall, they really did put a lot of effort into this White Russian path. However, I know a lot of you are going to be disappointed. There is not a single hint of democracy here. There is no democratic path. There is no anarchist path. It is just empire or fascist. That's what you get. It's a bit unfortunate, but I like the fact that they were even willing to listen to feedback and they delivered on it. While we're talking about the new focus, here's a few cool ones. Capital of the Tsars, where you can move your capital to Leningrad and give it some nice bonuses. Pretty cool. Leningrad was historically, no, sorry, not Leningrad, St. Petersburg. St. Petersburg was historically for the longest time the capital of the Russian Empire, and it would only make sense for a Romanov to move his capital back there. So that is pretty cool. It's a nice touch. I like that they thought about this. And another really interesting focus that I'm sure no one's ever going to abuse, the Iron Wall of Russian Resolve. This focus gives you quite a few bonuses to the production of super heavy tanks. So if you've ever wanted to play extreme Dankus Mimicus strats as the Russian Empire, this is the path to glory. This is gonna give you the ability to maybe not churn out these massive behemoths, but you'll be producing and researching them at a much increased pace. So if you want to play Tank Russia, this might actually be the way. I really want to try this out because I've never really used super heavy tanks before. It looks like with this focus, they might be viable. So we'll see. I want to get my Dankus Mimicus on here. And then here at the other side of the focus tree, the fascists also get some cool bonuses, like the Japanese Overtures focus. You can only take this if you are, well, it says Soviet Union here, don't worry. This is just a localization. If you are independent, you're in a faction with the Germans. The Germans are the faction leader, so technically you would be independent fascist Russia in the Axis. And this way, you can ask the Germans to admit the Japanese to your faction, creating one really big Axis that might be quite chunky for the allies to deal with. It's a nice flavored touch, but I don't really see the biggest value in this. It's probably nice for map painting, I guess. Another change is that Eastern expansion is now fascist only, as you can see here. You'll be able to meddle in the Americas, declaring war on Canada and the USA because, well, you want your Alaska back. And then there's also another option here offering you war goals on Afghanistan, Iran, Iraq, Turkey, Syria, and India. The last break southward is gonna give you a lot of war goals. You will be fighting a lot of people if you decide to go this path, and usually I think by the time you get here, like, World War II has definitely been kicked off yet, so this is more of an alt history thing. Then again, if you're in this tree, you're playing a full-on alt history scenario. But it's pretty cool that they allow you to go all out on expansion as Russia. A resurgent empire under fascist control would definitely be pretty expansionist. You'd want all your stuff back and then some. And to end this dev diary, a few nice additions. They have also created some lovely artwork for our future leaders, as you can see here. Those are historically accurate portraits of many generals and field marshals. I recognize Denikin. The others, not so much, but I am sure they are historically accurate. I'm sure. But it looks like they put in a lot of work, and look at this one. Tsar Vladimir I. Look at that nose. That is the nose of a man who knows he is destined to lead an empire. And his stats aren't really all that bad. That war support's pretty okay. Required garrisons is good if you want to go big. A resistance growth in our states occupied by the enemy. Yeah, that's a bit lame. That's banking on losing. We don't lose, my friend. We don't lose. And, of course, Santa Claus here. Archpatriarch Melitius. The fire... What? The Fire of the Sun God. So it gives you bonuses against Japan, okay? And Supreme Representative of God on Earth. I thought that was the Pope, but denominations argue over this. I like the artwork. The bonuses here could either use some work, because none of these are as cool as Stalin's. I guess that's probably the point. Overall, I'm very pleased with the changes. It's nice that they took criticism into account. I just wish they would have given some thought to maybe adding a democratic option. It's not there, it's not in the cards, they have rejected it outright, so be it. I am willing to see where this goes. I, for one, am very excited for No Step Back. Not just for all the mechanical changes coming, which will be big, but I want to see Russia in all its forms now. I've seen so many good stuff in that tree, I want to try it out, want to get my hands on it and see what I can do with it. Anyway, that's it for the day. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Leave a like, consider subscribing, and hit that bell icon to be notified whenever I upload more content, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.